Eli Winters woke with a start, his chest tight and lungs craving air that didn't seem to exist. The soft hum of machinery vibrated through the floor beneath him, and the sterile, white glow of the observation room's lights cut sharply into his eyes. For a moment he was disoriented, unsure if he was awake or still dreaming. Then, as his vision adjusted, he noticed the restraints across his arms and legs. Panic flared in his chest. His hands clawed at the metal bands, but they held him fast. He tried to call out, but his throat was dry, his voice only a hoarse whisper. Across the room, separated by a translucent barrier that reflected the harsh light, she waited. The alien queen. She was larger than any creature he had ever imagined, her body shimmering with a translucent, almost liquid-like carapace. Her 6 limbs moved with graceful precision, tipped with claws that could have torn him apart in an instant. But it wasn't the threat that made his stomach churn, it was her eyes. Multifaceted, black as the void, yet shining with intelligence, they seemed to peer directly into his soul. And somehow, despite her alien form, he felt that she knew him. "You don't remember me, do you?" Her voice, when it came, was unlike anything he had heard. It vibrated in his mind as well as in his ears, soft yet impossible to ignore. Eli's stomach knotted, his mind scrambling. Memories flickered, fragments of alien landscapes, strange sounds, shadows of beings he couldn't place. But they didn't form a coherent picture. He shook his head, hoping to force clarity, but the memories wouldn't come. I don't," he admitted, his voice trembling. Who are you?" The queen's mandibles flexed, producing a soft clicking sound, almost like a sigh. "I am someone you once called a friend," she said. There was no anger in her tone, only quiet sorrow, and that more than anything unsettled Eli. He couldn't remember being her friend. He couldn't remember anything before the crash. The expedition to Teosis IV, the uncharted world on the edge of the Orion Belt, had been supposed to be routine, uninhabited, perfect for research, for colonization. But the transmission logs had ended abruptly. His last entry, a shaky video of the alien skies and the trembling ground, showed strange, fast-moving shadows across the surface. Alarms had blared in the background, crew members screamed, and then nothing, silence, darkness. Now here he was, restrained and staring at a creature that claimed to know him, whose very presence made him feel like a stranger in his own body. The queen stepped closer. Her 6 limbs moved without sound, each step precise and fluid. Her eyes never left his. Eli's body tensed. He tried to remember his training protocols for encountering hostile extraterrestrial life, but none of it mattered. She wasn't hostile, not entirely, not yet, and yet he couldn't move. "You don't remember because they erased it," she said, her voice soft but cutting through his confusion. "Your memory, the truth they took from you, they believed it would destroy you, but it did not. It made you stronger." Eli's mind raced. He tried to comprehend her words. Who had erased his memory? What truth? He struggled to find the words. Who did this?" "Your own people," she replied simply. "Those you trusted, the humans who claimed to act in your best interest. They feared what you became, what you learned, what you saw." The weight of her words pressed against him. He wanted to deny them, to convince himself it was hallucination, exhaustion, stress. But the evidence was too vivid. Her presence alone was undeniable. The memories of a world he could barely name, Teosis IV, were hidden somewhere in his mind, trapped behind layers of fear and manipulation. A fragment stirred. A fleeting image, Eli reaching out to a small alien being, its eyes wide with trust and curiosity, and then the flash of humans opening fire, screaming in triumph, destroying everything in their path. And she, this queen, watching, horrified. You knew me?" Eli whispered. The words felt alien, awkward on his tongue. He could barely reconcile the sense of familiarity he felt toward a creature so utterly alien. "I did," she said. "I still do, and now it is time for you to remember, Eli, to see what they tried to hide from you." The queen extended one of her claws toward the glass. A faint ripple of energy passed along the surface. The glass seemed to distort, and suddenly images appeared, visions of his past missions, alien landscapes, strange and impossible life forms, moments of triumph and terror. And then a single memory broke through the fog with sharp clarity. Eli on Teosis IV, holding the hand of the young alien he had befriended, whispering promises he barely understood at the time. The humans arrived. Weapons fired, screams echoed. He had tried to protect the creature, but he had failed. The memory ended with her gaze, the queen, watching him with something like mourning. Eli gasped, shaking violently, "No, no, it wasn't supposed to happen like that. It wasn't your fault," the queen said. "But now it is time to reclaim what is yours. They believe you are broken, lost, but you are neither. I have waited for this moment for you to awaken." The hum of the machinery around them grew louder, deeper, almost threatening. Eli felt it in his bones. Something was moving beyond the walls, something vast, something alive. He tried to calm his racing heart. This was no longer about memory. This was survival. Why me?" he asked, voice trembling but tinged with determination. "Because only you can finish what they began," she said. "Only you can survive what is coming." Her gaze softened, though only slightly. Eli's mind struggled to comprehend her words. What did she mean by finish? What had they begun? And what could he possibly survive that humans feared so much? He remembered fragments, the mission, the crash, the attack. The trust of the alien child, the betrayal of his own people. The queen had watched silently, and now she was offering him a chance, an opportunity he couldn't yet understand. Eli's hands itched against the restraints. He tried to move, flex his fingers, test the strength of the metal. He needed freedom. He needed answers. He needed to understand who he was before they stole it from him. "You will remember," the queen said, reading his thoughts, her voice calm but firm. "But first you must survive. They will not give you the chance willingly. They fear what you have become. What we have become together." Outside the containment area, vibrations ran through the floor. A low hum turned into a rumble, growing in intensity until the lights flickered. Eli's heart jumped into his throat. He had no weapons, no allies, no plan, but he felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in months: hope. The hope that he could rise again, reclaim what was lost, and face the humans who betrayed him. His mind reached for clarity, for the memories that had been locked away, and the queen's presence seemed to push the fog aside. Images came faster now. Nights under alien skies, whispered strategies, the bond formed with a species he had barely understood at the time. He could hear the voice of the queen, not just in words, but in emotion, guiding him, reminding him of what he had once been capable of. Eli's body shook, his breathing ragged, but he felt the stirrings of purpose. He was not just a survivor. He was more than that. The humans had tried to erase his history, erase him, but they had only made him stronger. He had been molded in ways they could not predict. The queen tilted her massive head, her gaze still fixed on him. "The time for fear has passed. Soon you will see the truth. You will see what they fear, and when you do, you will understand your role. You are not here by accident. You are here because you were chosen." Eli's pulse raced. He wanted to speak, to demand answers, to scream at the injustice he had suffered, but he felt a strange calm settle over him. It was as if something deep inside was aligning, memories and instincts converging, preparing him for the trials ahead. And then the facility shuddered. A loud groaning echoed through the walls, metal screeching as if the building itself were alive and in pain. The lights flickered violently, casting shadows that danced across the queen's shimmering body. Eli's eyes widened as the hum turned into a roar. Whatever was moving outside, it was immense, powerful, and unstoppable. He realized with a chill that this was no longer just about memory. This was about survival. And the queen was not only his ally, she was the key to everything he had lost, and to everything he would need to face the humans and the unknown that awaited him beyond the walls. Eli's gaze met hers again. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, he felt ready. Ready to remember, ready to fight, ready to face the past, the betrayal, and whatever else the universe would throw at him. The queen's voice, soft and commanding, resonated in his mind once more. "Remember, Eli, and then survive." Outside, the vibrations grew stronger. The hum became a roar, and Eli, for the first time, understood that his life, and perhaps the fate of worlds, would never be the same again. Eli Winter's heart pounded in his chest as the facility shook violently. The vibrations crawled up his arms and legs through the metal restraints, and the hum of machinery had escalated into a deafening roar. He struggled, pulling against the bands that held him, but they were immovable. Panic gnawed at him, but beneath it, a spark of determination began to grow. He had survived impossible situations before, but nothing like this. The alien queen remained still, her massive form calm despite the chaos. Her multifaceted eyes reflected the flickering lights, watching him with an intensity that made him feel simultaneously vulnerable and protected. "They are here," she said softly, her voice resonating in his mind. "They believe you are helpless, Eli. They think you cannot act. But you must now. Eli swallowed hard. The Queen's presence was overwhelming, but her words gave him a strange focus. He took a deep breath, flexed his fingers, and tried again. The restraints held, but he noticed something he hadn't before, a faint vibration along the metal. A weakness, a point where the material was not solid, a flaw left perhaps intentionally. "Focus on me," the Queen said. "Trust your instincts, trust yourself." Eli's mind raced. He had trained for survival, for combat, for situations where his own body was the only weapon. He concentrated, visualizing the memory of his hand gripping tools on Teosis IV, the way he had dismantled a security lock during simulations. Using sheer force of will, he twisted, pulled, and the restraint bent slightly under the strain. His heart leapt. The room shuddered again, louder this time, and alarms blared from deep within the walls. Red lights bathed the observation chamber as warning sirens screamed. Eli's mind cleared. The humans had underestimated him. They thought stripping him of memory would make him passive, docile. They had been wrong. The Queen reached a clawed limb toward a panel near his restraints. She touched it lightly, and a pulse of energy rippled outward. The metal bars vibrated and creaked. Eli felt his body respond almost as if it were connected to her, responding to the resonance of her power. Slowly, deliberately, he freed one arm. The Queen's voice echoed in his mind. "Good, one step at a time. You will need both arms soon, but for now, remain calm." Eli swallowed, pain and adrenaline mingling in his chest. He flexed his fingers, feeling the metal finally give way. Freedom was close. He could feel it. Suddenly, the wall behind the observation room ruptured. A massive shadow passed across the doorway, something enormous, covered in thick armored plating with limbs that could crush steel. Eli froze, fear tightening around his chest, but the Queen did not move. Her gaze remained calm, unyielding. "They are mine to command," she said quietly. "Do not be afraid." The creature paused, sniffing the air, its multifaceted eyes glowing faintly. Eli felt a chill run down his spine. This was no ordinary alien. This was something engineered, something designed for war. And it was moving with lethal intent toward the humans who had trapped him. Eli took a deep breath and finally freed his second arm. The restraints fell away completely. He rubbed his wrists, blood rushing back into his limbs, and stood shakily. The Queen's energy rippled through the room as she extended her wings-like appendages slightly, creating a subtle barrier between him and the advancing threat. "Move," she instructed. "Now, they do not understand what is coming." Eli stumbled forward, moving toward the partially open doorway. The hallway beyond was dark, filled with smoke and debris from whatever breach had occurred in the facility. He could hear shouts, human voices shouting in alarm, calling orders that he did not recognize. Their confidence was gone, replaced by fear. They knew the Queen had broken their control. He moved with caution, every sense alert. The Queen followed, gliding silently beside him. Her presence was reassuring, even inspiring. He could feel the bond they shared, unspoken but undeniable. She had saved him, guided him, and now he understood that survival depended on trust, trust in her and in himself. As they moved through the corridors, Eli noticed security drones, floating silently with glowing lenses, weapons ready. He could see the humans controlling them from panels, panicked, screaming at one another. Eli acted instinctively. He grabbed a heavy pipe from the floor and swung it at the nearest drone. Sparks flew as metal met metal, and the device crashed to the ground, its systems fried. The Queen's energy pulse followed almost immediately, disabling another drone with a single wave. Eli felt a rush of exhilaration. They were unstoppable together. Through a narrow ventilation shaft, they reached the facility's main control hub. Monitors flickered, displaying security feeds, maps of the facility, and images of the humans scrambling in every corridor. Eli's eyes caught something familiar, a holographic display of Teosis IV, the planet they had thought was uninhabited. And there, marked on the map, was a sector labeled in red, "Containment Alien Lifeforms." The Queen moved closer, whispering in his mind. "This is where it began. This is where they took what they feared you would protect. You must see it. You must remember." Eli's chest tightened. He realized with growing horror that the humans had captured not just him, but others, creatures like the young alien he had saved long ago. And now he understood the full scope of the betrayal. The mission had never been about colonization. It had been about exploitation, about capturing alien species for weapons, for research, for power. This is why they erased my memories, Eli said aloud, voice tight with anger. They didn't want me to know. No, the Queen said, her voice echoing in his mind. They feared what you would do if you remembered. They underestimated your resolve, your capacity to protect life, and they underestimated me. Eli nodded, determination settling in his chest. Memories surged back in fragments. The young alien he had saved, the human's sudden attack, the Queen standing watch, horrified but unable to intervene fully. Now he understood the stakes. This was not just survival, it was justice. They moved deeper into the facility. Human guards confronted them, weapons drawn. Eli felt fear, yes, but also a strange calm. He had survived worse odds before. He swung the pipe with precision, knocking aside the first guard. The Queen unleashed a wave of energy, sending two others flying against the wall. The humans were no match for them. Together they were unstoppable. As they advanced, Eli felt memories coalescing. Scenes of Teosis IV, of the alien child, of the humans' treachery, all came rushing back. He remembered the pain of loss, the betrayal, and the burning desire to protect life no matter the cost. And now, with the Queen at his side, he felt ready. Ready to confront the humans, ready to reclaim what was stolen. Finally, they reached the containment area. The doors were sealed, reinforced, but the Queen moved effortlessly toward them. Her energy pulsed, metal groaning under the force, and the doors buckled. They swung open with a deafening crash. Inside, creatures of every shape and size were held in cages, some weak, some frightened, some injured. The young alien child, his friend, was among them, curled in the corner, wide-eyed, trembling. Eli's chest ached. He knelt beside the child, feeling the bond that had never truly broken. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm here. We're going home." The Queen watched silently, her eyes fixed on the humans who had tried to control them. From the shadows, soldiers began to emerge, weapons raised, shouting orders. Eli and the Queen did not flinch. "They will not stop us," she said. "You are no longer just a survivor, Eli. You are a force they cannot contain." Eli stood, gripping the pipe like a weapon forged in his memory and willpower. The humans advanced, but he was ready. The Queen's energy surrounded him, protective, guiding, powerful. He could see it now, the humans' fear. They had believed themselves in control, but they had no idea what they had unleashed. The first shots rang out, and Eli moved with precision. He dodged, swung, and struck. The Queen followed, a whirlwind of claws and energy, disabling weapons and guards with terrifying efficiency. Together they were a storm, unstoppable and righteous. Amid the chaos, Eli felt a surge of clarity. His memories, once fragmented, now formed a complete picture. He remembered his mission, the betrayal, the friends he had lost, the innocence of the creatures he had sworn to protect. And he remembered the promise he had made to survive, to protect, to reclaim what was his. As the last of the guards fell or fled, Eli looked around at the containment area. The creatures were frightened but alive. The young alien child ran to him, clinging to his leg. He held it close, whispering soothing words. The Queen hovered nearby, calm, watching, protective. "This is only the beginning," she said. "They will come back, but now you know, now you remember, and together we will face them." Eli nodded. Rage, determination, and hope surged within him. He had been broken, but he was no longer powerless. The humans had underestimated him. They had underestimated the bond he shared with the Queen. They had underestimated the strength of a heart determined to protect life against all odds. And as the facility trembled once more, Eli knew one thing with certainty. He would not fail again. Whatever came next, whatever humans, aliens, or forces of the universe stood in his way, he would survive, and he would ensure that justice was done. The Queen watched him, silent, her presence a reminder of the power that now resided within him. Together, they stepped out of the containment area. The corridors of the facility were strewn with debris and chaos, but Eli felt a strange clarity amidst the destruction. He had reclaimed part of himself, part of his memory, and with it part of his purpose. Outside, the hum of the facility merged with the sounds of approaching ships. Eli felt no fear. The humans would come, yes, but he was ready. The Queen had shown him that he was not alone, that he was more than he had ever imagined. And now he understood his path. It was not just survival, it was retribution, it was protection. It was the reclamation of life and memory stolen from him, and he would not fail. With the young alien child at his side and the Queen beside him, Eli Winters stepped forward into the chaos, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. Eli Winters emerged from the wrecked facility with the young alien child clinging to his side, his senses alert to every sound and movement. The Queen hovered above, her massive form casting a shimmering shadow across the jagged landscape. Outside, the air was thick with smoke and the scent of scorched metal. The humans had not given up. Their ships circled overhead, their weapons scanning for signs of life. Eli's pulse raced, but his mind was clear. He had survived betrayal, restraint, and memory erasure. Now, with the Queen by his side, he was ready for the fight that was coming. "They will come for you," the Queen said softly, her voice resonating directly in his mind. "They will try to take back what you have reclaimed. You must be ready." "I am," Eli replied, gripping the pipe he had taken from the facility. He could feel the weight of it in his hands, the reminder of the battles already fought. "I will not let them hurt anyone else." The Queen extended a clawed limb, tapping a device embedded in the ground. The hum of energy spread outward, creating a protective field around them. Eli felt a strange warmth, a pulse that seemed to sync with his own heartbeat. The humans might have had technology, but this was something beyond their understanding. From the shadows of the nearby cliffs, figures began to emerge. Human soldiers, armed and shouting, moved in organized squads, weapons raised. They were cautious, wary of the alien presence, but their determination was clear. They believed they could overpower Eli. They believed they could reclaim the creatures and the young alien child. They were wrong. Eli stepped forward, positioning himself between the humans and the child. His mind worked quickly, analyzing their formation, their numbers, their weaknesses. He had trained for combat situations, but nothing could have prepared him for this scale of battle. Still, he felt a surge of confidence. He was not alone. The Queen was with him, and together they could face any threat. The first shot rang out, striking the ground near Eli's feet. He jumped aside, swinging the pipe with precision. The impact sent a soldier sprawling. The Queen moved as if in perfect synchrony with him, her limbs slicing through the air, energy pulses erupting from her body. Humans fell back, their confidence shaken by the force of an enemy they could not predict. Eli's mind raced. He needed a strategy. He could not fight indefinitely in the open. He looked around and spotted a narrow canyon to the east. If they could reach it, they could use the terrain to their advantage, forcing the humans into a confined space where the Queen's abilities would dominate. "Move," he shouted to the child, scooping it up. The Queen led the way, her wings propelling them forward with swift, silent grace. Eli followed, dodging gunfire and leaping over debris. The humans pursued, but the Queen's energy pulses kept them at bay. As they reached the canyon, Eli's thoughts turned to the creatures left behind in the containment area. The Queen hovered above, scanning for threats. "They are secure for now," she said, "but time is short. You must act decisively." Eli nodded. His memories, once fragmented, were now sharpening. He remembered his promise to protect life, to fight against those who sought to exploit it. He had a purpose, and he would not fail. The humans regrouped at the canyon's mouth, bringing in heavier weapons, plasma rifles, automated drones, and a hovering vehicle bristling with cannons. Eli realized the scale of the battle was escalating. They were determined to eliminate him and reclaim the alien life forms at any cost. The Queen's eyes glowed, and she let out a resonating hum. The air vibrated, and the humans faltered, unsure of the power they were facing. Eli stepped forward, raising the pipe. "We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves," he shouted. His voice carried across the canyon, bold and unyielding. "And we will not lose." The first wave of soldiers charged, but the Queen moved with terrifying speed. Her claws tore through drones, her energy pulses incapacitated guards, and her massive form created a wall between Eli and the advancing threat. Eli struck with precision, using his strength and agility to disable weapons and create openings for the creatures hiding in the canyon to escape. A larger threat emerged from the shadows, a mechanized human combat unit, towering over the soldiers, its weapon systems active. Eli froze for a moment, assessing the danger. The Queen hovered closer, her presence a shield against the unit's firepower. "It is formidable," she said, "but not invincible." Eli nodded. His mind raced through strategies, recalling training exercises, simulations, and past missions. He spotted a weak point, a joint in the unit's armor exposed as it moved. With a running leap, he struck the joint with his pipe, causing sparks to fly. The unit staggered, and the Queen unleashed a concentrated pulse of energy, toppling it with a deafening crash. The humans faltered, their morale breaking under the combined assault. Eli moved with determination, guiding the child and the smaller creatures deeper into the canyon. "Keep moving," he shouted. "We are stronger than they think." As they advanced, Eli noticed a pattern in the human attack. They were coordinated but predictable. He directed the queen to create diversions, forcing the humans to split their forces. He swung the pipe, knocking aside automated defenses and cleared paths for the creatures to flee. Hours seemed to pass in what felt like minutes. The battle raged, but Eli's strategy began to turn the tide. The humans, exhausted and disoriented, were forced to retreat. Eli could see the fear in their eyes. They had underestimated him, underestimated the queen, underestimated the strength of unity between species. Finally, the canyon was clear. The creatures were safe, and the humans were in disarray. Eli looked at the queen, her eyes reflecting pride and determination. "We have won this battle," she said, "but the war is not over." Eli nodded, holding the young alien child close. He could feel the bond they shared, the trust that had never been broken. "We will be ready for them," he said. "We will protect what is ours." The queen extended a clawed limb toward the sky, sending a pulse of energy that seemed to resonate with the planet itself. The air shimmered, and Eli felt a sense of calm, a momentary peace in the aftermath of chaos. But he knew it would not last. The humans would regroup. They would come back with greater force. Eli's mind was already planning the next steps, strategies, defenses, and ways to ensure the safety of the creatures and the young alien child. He looked around at the canyon, the creatures, and the queen. They had survived the first wave, but the universe was vast and full of unknown dangers. Eli's memories, once lost, were now guiding him. He remembered his purpose, his promise, and his strength. "We must move," the queen said. "They will not give up easily." "But now you are ready, Eli. You know what you are capable of." Eli nodded, determination settling in his chest. The battle had tested him, pushed him to his limits, and revealed the depths of his strength. He had faced betrayal, restraint, and overwhelming odds. He had survived. And now he would fight not just for survival, but for justice, for protection, and for the promise he had made to himself and to the creatures he had sworn to save. With the queen hovering above and the young alien child at his side, Eli Winters moved forward into the unknown. The humans would come again, the threats would grow, and the challenges would be greater. But he was ready. He had remembered who he was, what he had lost, and what he had to protect. The universe was vast, and the dangers were many, but Eli Winters was no longer alone. He had allies beyond imagination, power beyond comprehension, and a purpose that could not be denied. And as the sun set behind the canyon walls, casting long shadows over the landscape, Eli felt a sense of clarity and resolve. The war was just beginning, but he was prepared. He would face every challenge, overcome every threat, and protect life against all odds. The queen's voice resonated in his mind one last time before they moved forward. "Remember, Eli, trust yourself, trust us, and together we will endure." Eli took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the journey ahead, but also the strength within him. The humans would return, new dangers would arise, and the universe would test them in ways they could not yet imagine. But he was ready. He had survived, he had remembered, and he would not fail. With determination burning in his chest, Eli stepped forward, the young alien child holding his hand and the queen leading the way. Together, they would face whatever the universe had in store. And somewhere deep in his mind, Eli knew this was only the beginning of a story far greater than he had ever imagined. A story of survival, memory, unity, and the enduring strength of life in the face of unimaginable odds. Eli Winters crouched behind a jagged rock formation, the young alien child clinging tightly to his side. The queen hovered above, her massive shimmering form reflecting the dying light of the distant sun. Across the valley, human forces were regrouping, their ships low in the sky, weapons bristling and ready. Eli's jaw tightened. They had survived the first attack, but now the humans were bringing everything they had. "They have reinforcements," the queen said, her voice echoing in his mind. "They believe numbers will win this fight, but numbers alone cannot stand against what we have become." Eli's mind raced. He had survived betrayal, restraint, memory loss, and a violent first battle, but this was more than survival now. This was the final confrontation. The humans had underestimated him, underestimated the bond he shared with the queen, underestimated the strength of unity between species, and he would prove them wrong. He looked down at the young alien child. Its eyes, wide with fear and trust, met his. Eli swallowed hard. "We're going to be okay," he whispered. "I promise I'll protect you no matter what." The queen extended her wings, creating a protective shield of shimmering energy that rippled across the valley floor. "We must act now," she said. "If we wait, they will overwhelm us." "You lead, Eli. Trust your instincts. Trust yourself." Eli nodded, gripping the pipe he had taken from the facility. Every muscle in his body was tense, ready to spring into action. He had trained for combat situations, but nothing could prepare him for the scale of this fight. Still, he felt a surge of confidence. He was not alone. The queen was with him. Together, they were unstoppable. The first wave of human soldiers charged across the valley, their weapons firing. Eli moved with precision, dodging blasts and swinging his pipe to disable those who got too close. The queen unleashed a wave of energy, throwing soldiers backward and creating openings for the smaller creatures hiding in the valley to escape. The humans faltered, their confidence shaken by the power they faced. From above, human ships swooped down, aiming to strike both Eli and the queen. The young alien child hid behind Eli, trembling. Eli looked at the queen. "We need to stop them," he shouted. The queen responded instantly. She rose into the air, her massive wings spreading wide. Energy pulses erupted from her body, creating shockwaves that struck the ships. One by one, they faltered, unable to withstand her power. Eli felt exhilaration surge through him. The humans had believed they controlled the battlefield, but they were wrong. Eli led the child and the creatures deeper into the valley, moving toward a natural canyon that could serve as a stronghold. As they advanced, he noticed something unusual. Human forces were coordinating differently this time. Drones moved ahead, scouting, while heavily armed soldiers followed. Eli realized the humans had adapted. They had learned from their previous failure. "We cannot let them regroup," Eli said, urgency in his voice. "We strike now together." The queen's eyes glowed, her energy pulses intensifying. "Follow my lead," she said. "Trust in our unity." Eli nodded and charged forward, leading the creatures into the canyon. The humans opened fire, but the queen moved with them, her energy forming a shield that deflected every shot. Eli swung his pipe, taking down drones and soldiers with precision. Every movement was synchronized, instinctual, as if he and the queen were connected by something deeper than thought. Suddenly, a massive human combat mech emerged from the shadows. It was taller than any structure Eli had ever seen, bristling with weapons. The ground shook as it moved, each step threatening to crush everything in its path. Eli froze for a moment, analyzing the threat. He could see a weak point, a joint in the armor that looked vulnerable. The queen hovered closer. "It is formidable, but not invincible. Strike at the joint when I distract it." Eli's heart pounded. He waited for the queen's signal. Energy pulses surged from her body, drawing the mech's attention. It fired relentlessly, but she dodged effortlessly, moving like a living storm. Eli took a running leap, swinging his pipe with all his strength at the weak joint. Sparks erupted, and the mech faltered. The queen followed with a concentrated blast of energy, toppling the massive machine with a deafening crash. The humans paused, shocked by the destruction of their weapon. Their morale wavered, and Eli seized the moment. He led a charge through the canyon, guiding the creatures to safety while striking down any human who tried to follow. The queen moved with deadly precision, disabling drones and soldiers alike. Together, they created a path for the creatures to escape. Hours passed in a blur of action. The humans attempted to regroup, but every advance was met with Eli and the queen's relentless defense. They fought not out of hatred, but out of purpose. The purpose to protect life, to reclaim what had been stolen, to ensure that the young alien child and the creatures would survive. Finally, the valley fell silent. The humans were retreating, their numbers broken, their confidence shattered. Eli stood among the creatures, the child at his side, breathing heavily. The queen hovered above, her energy pulses fading as she surveyed the battlefield. "We have won this battle," she said, her voice calm but resolute. "But the war is not over. Others will come and they will try to take what you have reclaimed. You must be ready." Eli nodded, determination settling in his chest. He looked at the young alien child, who smiled weakly, sensing the safety for the moment. "We'll protect each other," Eli said, "no matter what comes next." The queen extended a clawed limb toward the sky, sending a pulse of energy that seemed to resonate with the planet itself. The air shimmered, and Eli felt a sense of calm, a momentary peace in the aftermath of chaos. He had remembered his purpose, his memories, his strength. He had survived betrayal, memory loss, and overwhelming odds. Now he was ready for anything. As the sun set behind the distant mountains, casting long shadows over the valley, Eli felt clarity settle over him. The humans would return, yes, but he was no longer the man they had tried to break. He was stronger, wiser, and connected to a force they could never understand. "This is only the beginning," Eli said quietly to the child. "But together we will face everything." The queen hovered closer, her gaze fixed on Eli. "You have remembered who you are, Eli," she said, "and that memory gives you strength. Use it wisely. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Lead, fight, and survive. The universe will test you, but you are ready." Eli's eyes scanned the horizon. Human forces were retreating, but he knew they would come back, larger and more determined. He would not falter. He had the queen, the creatures, and the young alien child at his side. He had the memories of his past, the bond of trust, and the courage to face what lay ahead. As night fell, Eli and the queen guided the creatures to a hidden cave system, safe from immediate attack. The young alien child ran ahead, exploring the new refuge with cautious excitement. Eli followed, scanning for any threats, every sense alert. The queen moved silently behind, a guardian of unmatched power. "This is our sanctuary for now," Eli said, looking at the creatures settling into the cave. "We rest, we recover, and then we plan for the future. They will come, but we will be ready." The queen nodded, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "You have learned well, Eli. You have remembered, survived, and led. That is what they feared in you. But now you know your strength, and so do I." Eli took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the journey they had endured. He had been broken, restrained, and manipulated, but none of it had defeated him. He had reclaimed his memory, his purpose, and his strength. He had learned that survival was more than endurance. It was unity, trust, and the courage to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. Outside, the night was still, but Eli knew the universe would not remain quiet for long. The humans would return, new dangers would arise, and the creatures they protected would face trials beyond imagination. But he was ready. He had survived everything thrown at him, and he would continue to do so no matter the cost. Eli knelt beside the young alien child, placing a hand on its shoulder. "We are not alone," he whispered. "We have each other, and we have the queen. We will face whatever comes together, always." The queen's energy pulse resonated through the cave, a protective embrace. Eli felt its warmth and strength, the promise of safety and power. Together they were a force beyond reckoning, united in purpose and courage. And in that moment, Eli understood the truth of the queen's words. Survival was not just about living. It was about remembering who you are, reclaiming what was lost, and protecting life against all odds. He stood, looking out at the horizon. The future was uncertain, but he was ready. With the queen by his side, the creatures safe, and the young alien child trusting him completely, Eli Winters was no longer just a survivor. He was a guardian, a leader, and a force the universe would not forget. The stars shimmered above, vast and endless, but Eli no longer feared them. He had faced betrayal, danger, and memory loss and emerged stronger. He had remembered. He had reclaimed. He had survived. And as the night deepened, he whispered one final promise to himself and the creatures around him. "No matter what comes, we endure, we survive, we protect, always." The queen hovered above, silent and watchful, her presence a reminder of the power and unity they shared. Together they would face whatever the universe threw at them. Together they would endure. Together they would survive. And in the darkness, amidst the stars, a new chapter of their story began, one of hope, courage, and the enduring strength of life itself.